I'll briefly tell you about the Ekta Parishad. So Ekta Parishad is an umbrella which actually brings a large number of organizations, individuals, alliances, community-based organizations um, to work together, to think together, and to act together. Uh, since beginning, we were trying to develop the whole organization horizontally, more horizontally. And that's how it's a membership based organization. When I say membership based organization, that means it's horizontally spread over the large part of India where very ordinary people, the landless poor, indigenous, fisher folks, nomads, they are the members of this organization. And I mean, all being a member, they pay the same amount. So that also means that since beginning, we allow them to understand their shared ownership space in the organization. So we don't believe in the participation, because participation is very much that I have a space and I'm allow you to come and to participate. This is not a participation for us. The much more meaningful democratic way is understanding the shared ownership space, the shared ownership space in terms of decision, in terms of action, and in terms of doing something which is collective. So that's how Ekta Parishad built in that way. Uh, the third thing, which is a very strong part of Ekta Parishad, is also to understand that Ekta Parishad is a family. And sometimes I keep saying that Ekta Parishad is not an organization which you can understand through the horizontal structures or the typical way of understanding the organization as a structure, but it's more, I would prefer to say that Ekta Parishad is a school of thought. It gives one way of life. That's how we sustain over last 40 years now. So it's already 40 years completed in the long journey of Ekta Parishad. One of the strongest components in Ekta Parishad is to make the ordinary people, the common people, the people, to make them realize that they have a great potential for the change in their life, in the life of millions of people who live like them. So, in the whole processes of Ekta Parishad organizational building, we do give a lot of focus on the realization process, realization of our own strength, what we call power of the poor. So we do have very, very strong belief in the power of the poor. So these are some very interesting blocks to understand. But the last thing, which is very important to understand the whole larger framework and dimensions of Ekta Parishad, is that we understand that this is a high time to understand, this is a high time to think about the larger framework of intergenerationality. Sometimes we are too much for asking our rights. Are we really consider about the rights of those people or those younger generation who is coming after 10 or 20 years? So we are too much focused about our own development, our own empowerment, but are we really serious to think about the real development and the necessities of development in the life of those people who are coming after 10 or 20 years? So this whole intergenerationality things are very important. For us, the non-violence is a compulsion, it's not a choice. There's no choice between violence and non-violence. What Martin Luther King said is very interesting. There is a choice between violence and non-existence. So whether we want to be non-existent in this planet or whether we want to be existent and to live more meaningfully. If we really want to live more meaningfully, then perhaps the peace and non-violence is the only way. But for me, it's also very important to understand the whole basic spirit and ethical part of non-violence, because as I understood that non-violence is a way of life. In our Indian culture, we call it's mansa karmana vacha. That means the non-violence with thoughts, with my statements, and through my behavior. So if it's not reflect here, and here, They're all external experiments of non-violence. It's a political process. So we have, and I have my strong belief in the deeper processes of self-realization, self-correction, and to understand the non-violence as a basic human value. So it's a basic human value actually. The whole process of organizing people's strength, it's began with the long process of, as I said, it's a realization that they have to react. So we have one very interesting system, what we call leadership camp. So the whole organizing process is actually germinated through this leadership camp, which is a very interesting 3 days process. And we do invite the community members to come and to stay there in one place for 3 days, which is a short time, but if we make these 3 days very effective in terms of conversation, that's always very, very helpful. So the whole model of this realization, it start with discussing each other. So we don't use blackboard or whiteboard or PowerPoint or projector or anything, but these 3 days are more in terms of conversation, understanding each other in a much better way. So the whole of first day we spend to discuss about our own situation, why we are marginalized, why our rights have been taken away, why we are facing too much of violence in our life, why there is an injustice against us, why there is the whole thought of inequality against us. So the first day we spent to discuss about the various larger and the minor aspects of our life and our situation. The second day, it's more focused on exploring some space of dialogue. Suppose if I'm poor, if I'm marginalized, if I'm deprived, then where to go, where to talk, to whom to talk, how to talk, and what to talk. So the whole of the second day, it's actually built around the some new narratives, some new ways of engaging with the other people, engaging other people on the conversation. And the third day, it's all about the collective action and collective reaction, where people felt that, okay, if this is our situation, if they are the people to whom we have to go and to address, then how to react. So this is a one very, very basic process of organizing people right from the bottom. And as I say, this is a process of realization. This is the process of make them realize that they have to do something. And being a organizational member, we are always behind. So in Hindi, what we call jiski ladai uski advai. That means if it's your fight, you have to be in the leadership role. I can only be as a supporter with you. That doesn't mean that if police and other people come, I'll run away. I'll be in the front in that case. So it's a process of organizing people from the bottom up. The second, the layer of organizing people is to understand the democratic processes. We know that in this world it's very difficult to even to think about the responsive democracy or the real democracy, functioning democracy which is functional, but there's no choice. There's no other choice. We have to think about the very basic spirit of democracy. So when I say democracy, that doesn't mean that democracy is always focused to those people who are the decision makers. For us, being a people's organization and being a people's organization who organize the communities is also important to build the healthy opposition from the bottom. And why healthy opposition is important? Because largely the character of the ruling class or the ruling party or the ruling people are same. It's little difference. So organizing the oppositional voice is a very important. So this is a second layer of organizing the people towards the higher level. The third level, which is important to engage and to talk with all those other potential people, potential organization who could be a part of this process. So it's like putting 100 degree of temperature in one place. If you want to boil the water, you need 100 degree in one place. And each one of us, we are carry like 1 degree, 2 degree or 3 degree or 4 degree, and we are scattered around. And until we are scattered around, we cannot boil the water. So that we cannot, in that way, we cannot challenge the system in the way we want. So bringing those smaller and bigger degrees in one place and to start to thinking about boiling water is a third layer, what we call building the solidarity circle. We believe in the rainbow coalition. So that doesn't, and rainbow coalition means not to talk only with the social organization, but talk to all those positive, passive and active supporters who could play some important role in your action. And that's how we are very open to get support from any possible directions. This is the third layer of organizing and building campaign. And the fourth level is to understand, estimate the real calculation, the real time frame, when to react and how to react and how long this reaction should be or will be or must be. But at the last, it's very, very important with the whole process of mobilization and organization and to understand what I called is a takeoff and landing point. Being a good campaigner, being a good organizer, we have to be very careful about configuring our campaign, our negotiation, our dialogue, and to understand that after certain height, we have to go for settle down our issues and then come down again, get energized again, and then take off again. So I think we need to understand these kind of a organizing process with our own practical experiences. But I must say here that this is not a one replicative model. There could be many. This is just one way. And we have to be very innovative, very open to recorrect this particular organizing method based on the socio-political context in different countries and in different places.
It's our responsibility to raise the fund from the people themselves, especially for the campaign, for the political action. So that's how we are very careful to generate resources with our own means, with our own contribution, with our own donations. And it's like a horizontal model of collecting fund and building fund and financial resources. Then we have in the second level those organizations, international organizations, who do believe in some sorts of a giving support in advocacy, especially in terms of doing policy research or some research work, publications, and especially bringing the people's voice in terms of making it more effective in various different forums, in conferences. So we have some friends organization who believe in this kind of processes, and that's how we also get some kind of a support from those institutions. The third part, which is extremely important, which we call as a solidarity circles. So these solidarity circles, they have their strong faith and belief in our work. So, and we always motivate them for material support. So it may or may not be like a direct financial support. Suppose if you are walking, just 50 people are walking from all the way from Delhi to Geneva, definitely we need some good shoes because every day we are walking 20 kilometers. So sometimes we ask some of those agencies and organizations who are giving their solidarity to give this kind of support.
The one of main focus for us is to create hope, because hope is a collective feature. It's a collective future for all of us. If you are not hopeful, then probably we may not create a good future, and we may be more selfish about our own generation. So if you want to give something to our future generation, this is a high time for us to come and to react collectively. And what Gandhi said is a very interesting. He said that if you are not indifferent, the world will be different. So this is the high time for us to come out of our indifferences and to do something and make this world a little different, so that we can create some hope for the life of millions of those people who are waiting some justice and peace in their life. Thank you.